Charlie's Dreamland, an AI-generated story for children. Foreword. This tale has been generated by an advanced artificial intelligence model as part of a research project exploring AI's creative writing abilities. Created in February 2023, future readers may be intrigued by the evolution of the topic when revisiting the story in a few years' time. The model was tasked with crafting a story for children in the writing style of Alan Alexander Milne, James M. Barrie, and Lewis Carroll. The plot was entirely imagined by the AI, though in its current state, the story was generated chapter by chapter and required human revision in cases where the output lacked coherence or strayed from the previous chapters. As such, the AI model serves as the primary author, with a human editor who reviewed the story and provided feedback to improve its output. It should be noted that there may be still some minor plot holes or inaccuracies present within the narrative that have been deliberately left untouched by the editor. These do not significantly impede the progression of the story and serve as a testament to the ongoing challenges and current limitations of AI-generated creative writing. The voice you hear is also generated by text-to-voice AI models. Additionally, the visual representation was generated by text-to-image models. Further details on the models utilized can be found in the description section. To support further advancements in AI-generated storytelling, please consider giving this video a like and subscribe to the channel. We hope you enjoy the following story. Chapter 1. Charlie's Dreamland. Charlie was a curious young boy who loved to explore and discover new things. His imagination was like a wild, untamed horse, taking him on adventures to far-off lands in his dreams. Every night, he would close his eyes and dream of a world filled with fantastical animals and mysterious lands where he could be whoever he wanted to be and do whatever he wanted to do. Charlie's mother tucked him into bed, her gentle hand smoothing out the covers around him. "Time for bed, my little adventurer," she said with a warm smile. "You've had a busy day and need your rest." Charlie snuggled deeper into his pillow, feeling safe and secure in the familiar surroundings of his room. His mother sat beside him, her hand resting softly on his head. "Close your eyes, Charlie," she said, her voice soft and soothing. "Let your imagination take you on a journey to a world filled with wonder and magic." As Charlie drifted off to sleep, he felt a strange sensation, as if he were being lifted off the ground and transported to another world. He felt a tingle run down his spine and his heart start to race with excitement. He felt like he was floating on a cloud, with a warm, comforting feeling surrounding him. In his mind, he saw the colors of his dream world become brighter and clear. He heard the sounds of the animals and creatures around him, and he felt the cool, soft grass beneath his feet. He was finally in the world he had always dreamed of, and he was filled with a sense of joy and wonder. In the distance, he saw a group of animals playing in a field. They were unlike anything he had ever seen before. Charlie approached them, his heart racing with excitement. The first animal he met was a wise old owl named Professor Hoot. The owl was speckled with brown and white feathers, and he had piercing yellow eyes that twinkled with intelligence. He was perched on a tree branch, observing the world with a calm and collected demeanor. Next was a timid rabbit named Thumper. Thumper was covered in soft white fur, with large floppy ears that flicked nervously as he hopped about. He was shy and reserved, but his eyes shone with kindness. Finally, there was a mischievous squirrel named Scamper. Scamper was small and scrappy, with a bushy tail and a cheeky grin on his face. He was always up for a good adventure and never afraid to take risks. As Charlie approached, the animals welcomed him with open arms. "Hello there, young traveler," said Professor Hoot in a wise, booming voice. "Welcome to our world. We've been waiting for someone like you." "Yes, yes," added Thumper, hopping around excitedly. "We're so happy to meet you. I'm Thumper, and this is Professor Hoot and Scamper." Charlie was a bit taken aback by the sudden attention, but he quickly regained his composure. Hello there, he said, smiling shyly. I'm Charlie. I didn't expect to end up here, but it's nice to meet you all. Nonsense, young one, said Professor Hoot, his wise eyes shining brightly. You were brought here for a reason. You see, our world is in need of someone with a big imagination and sense of adventure, and you seem to fit the bill. We need you to explore our world and help us discover new things, said Thumper, his eyes sparkling with excitement. We've been here for a long time and have explored most of it, but there's still many mysteries waiting to be uncovered. Scamper scampered up to Charlie and gave him a friendly nudge. Ready for some adventures, mate, he said with a grin, revealing a set of sharp white teeth. Charlie felt a warm fuzzy feeling in his chest. He was in a dream world filled with funny, lovable characters, and he had made some new friends. The animals were full of energy and excitement, eager to show him their world. I'd love to help, said Charlie, smiling broadly. I can't wait to see what adventures await me in this magical world. Charlie took a deep breath, savoring the sweet fresh air. He was filled with a sense of wonder and adventure. He couldn't wait to see what adventures awaited him in this magical world. He looked around, taking in the breathtaking scenery. The sky was a brilliant shade of blue, dotted with fluffy white clouds. The sun was shining, and the birds were singing. He felt a sense of peace and happiness wash over him, and he knew that this was going to be the greatest adventure of his life. Chapter 2. The adventure begins. Charlie woke up to a beautiful morning with the sun shining through his window, illuminating his room with a warm glow. As he opened his eyes and looked around, he was greeted by the sweet chirping of birds outside his window. He felt energized and refreshed, ready for a new day of adventure. As he got out of bed and stretched, memories of his dream from the previous night flooded back into his mind. He was filled with excitement at the thought of reuniting with his new friends and continuing his adventures in the dream world. He quickly got dressed and made his way downstairs to the kitchen. His mother was busy making breakfast and humming a tune. She turned to greet him with a warm smile. Good morning, Charlie, she said. How did you sleep? Good morning, Mom, replied Charlie, beaming with excitement. I slept really well, and I had the most amazing dream. Charlie then went on to describe his dream to his mother in detail. She listened intently, marveling at the fantastic world Charlie had imagined. She smiled and said, That sounds like a wonderful adventure, but remember, it's just a dream. Charlie nodded, but he couldn't shake the feeling that it was more than just a dream. It felt too real, and he felt a strong pull to return to the dream world and continue his adventures. After a delicious breakfast, Charlie set out to explore the forest behind his house. He had always been fascinated by the dense lush forest and felt a strong urge to explore it further. As Charlie walked further into the forest, he was struck by the sheer size and majesty of the trees around him. They seemed to tower over him, their branches stretching high into the sky, and the leaves rustling softly in the breeze. Charlie felt a sense of awe and wonder, as if he was walking through a magical world unlike anything he had ever seen before. Suddenly, he heard the sound of rustling leaves and looked up to see a rabbit hopping towards him. As it got closer, Charlie recognized the rabbit from his dream and a smile lit up his face. Thumper, he exclaimed, it's you. Hello, Charlie, replied Thumper, his eyes shining with excitement. I've been waiting for you. I'm so glad you made it. Thumper took Charlie by the hand and led him deeper into the forest, hopping excitedly as they went. Charlie felt his heart racing with excitement, as he couldn't wait to see what adventures lay ahead. With Thumper by his side, he felt ready for anything the dream world had in store for him. Chapter 3. Into the Unknown. As Thumper led the way through the lush forest, He paused occasionally to point out various wonders to Charlie. The vibrant butterflies flitted about, their wings catching the light as they danced through the air. The melodic songs of exotic birds filled the air, and the sweet fragrance of blooming flowers wafted by on the gentle breeze. The sound of a nearby stream echoed through the forest, adding to the peaceful ambience. "Isn't it beautiful here?" said Thumper, turning to Charlie with a smile. "I love exploring this forest, there's always something new to discover." "It's amazing," replied Charlie, his eyes wide with wonder. "I've never seen anything like it before." Thumper continued. "We're on our way to the heart of the forest to meet up with Professor Hoot and Scamper. They'll be thrilled to see you." The excitement bubbling within Charlie grew with each step, as he couldn't wait to embark on the next adventure. He was grateful to have Thumper as his guide, and he was eager to meet the other inhabitants of this magical dream world. As they reached the clearing, Charlie was greeted by the sight of a magnificent tree towering in the center. Its branches stretched towards the sky, and its trunk was wide enough for a group of people to comfortably sit in its shade. Professor Hoot and Scamper were already there, taking a break on a fallen log and sipping from steaming mugs. "Good morning, young travelers," Professor Hoot boomed with a warm smile, looking up from his seat. "I hope Thumper has been showing you around." "Yes, he has," Charlie replied with a beaming smile. "This place is amazing." Scamper scampered up to Charlie and gave him a friendly nudge, his sharp, white teeth shining. "We are glad you're here, mate," he said with a grin. "We've got a big day ahead of us." Professor Hoot stood up from the fallen log and cleared his throat, capturing the attention of the group. He had a serious expression on his face as he began to speak. "Listen up, young travelers," he said. "We have come to the heart of the forest for a very important reason. There is a legendary treasure hidden deep within these woods, and we're here to find it." "Wow, a treasure hunt," said Charlie, his eyes lighting up with excitement. "Yes, indeed," said Professor Hoot. "But let me warn you, the journey won't be easy. We'll face many challenges along the way, but I have faith that with bravery and determination, we'll succeed." Thumper and Scamper nodded in agreement, their expressions serious. "Are you ready for the adventure of a lifetime?" asked Professor Hoot, looking at each of them in turn. "I'm ready," said Charlie, pumping his fist in the air. "Me too," said Thumper and Scamper in unison. "Then let's get going," said Professor Hoot, setting out ahead on the narrow path. "The treasure awaits us." As they began their journey, Thumper took the lead with Professor Hoot and Scamper close behind. The path was narrow and treacherous, requiring them to carefully navigate around roots and branches that threatened to trip them up. Despite the challenges, Charlie felt more confident than ever with his friends by his side to support and guide him. At one point, Thumper's foot caught on a root, and he stumbled, nearly losing his balance. Professor Hoot quickly reached out to steady him, while Scamper let out a nervous chitter. "Watch your step, Thumper," said Professor Hoot with a laugh. "We don't want any injuries on this quest." "Thanks, Professor," said Thumper, regaining his footing. "I'm okay, but I think I need to be more careful from now on." "Don't worry," said Charlie, encouragingly. "We're in this together. We'll face any obstacles that come our way and come out stronger on the other side." With a nod, Thumper continued on the path, and the rest of the group followed. They encountered more obstacles along the way, but with each hurdle, their determination only grew. The journey may have been unknown, but with the strength and bravery of the group, they felt ready to tackle anything that lay ahead. Chapter 4. Trekking through the forest. They followed the narrow path, carefully navigating around obstacles and roots as they went. Charlie was filled with excitement, his heart racing with anticipation. As they walked, Thumper pointed out different plants and animals along the way, filling Charlie in on their importance to the ecosystem. Charlie was amazed by the diversity of life in the forest, and he couldn't help but feel grateful to be surrounded by such beauty. "The forest is full of surprises, Charlie," Thumper said. "There's always something new to discover." Meanwhile, Professor Hoot was studying an ancient map, his brow furrowed in concentration. "We need to cross the bridge at the fork in the river," he said finally, pointing ahead. The group followed the map, and soon they arrived at the fork in the river. The bridge was narrow, and the rushing water below was fierce. Thumper led the way, and Charlie followed close behind, his heart pounding. "This is it, mates," shouted Scamper, his eyes shining with excitement. "Let's find that treasure." With bravery and determination, they crossed the bridge, their feet steady on the wooden planks. They continued on, following the map and facing new challenges along the way. They encountered a steep incline, and Thumper used his strong legs to help everyone up the hill. Professor Hoot used his knowledge of the forest to find a way around a dense thicket of thorns. Scamper's quick thinking helped them cross a fast-flowing stream by making a makeshift raft. As they journeyed deeper into the forest, the path became more difficult, but the group pressed on, spurred on by the thought of the treasure waiting for them at the end. Charlie was filled with a sense of purpose, knowing that he was part of something bigger, something that would leave a lasting impact on the world. As the sun began to set, the group finally arrived at the entrance to a hidden cave. Their hearts racing, they stepped inside, ready for whatever lay ahead. "Wow, this is it," said Charlie, his voice filled with excitement. "Yes, it is," said Professor Hoot, his eyes shining with anticipation. "But be careful, the journey ahead may be perilous." With that, the group set out into the darkness, their hearts filled with a sense of adventure, as they began their quest to uncover the hidden treasure deep within the cave. Chapter 5. The Guardian of the Treasure. As the group entered the dark cave, they realized they needed a source of light to guide their way. Scamper came to the rescue, pulling out a lantern from his backpack. The lantern was a small handheld device with a handle on top and a glass dome on the front. Scamper lit the lantern by striking a match and holding it to the wick inside. The flame flickered to life, casting a warm, golden glow throughout the cave. The light illuminated the rocky walls and ceilings, revealing patterns and formations created over centuries by the movement of water. Scamper held the lantern out in front of him, his other hand tightly gripping the handle. As they made their way deeper into the cave, the lantern provided a beacon of light, guiding their steps and illuminating the path ahead. Charlie was grateful for Scamper's quick thinking and resourcefulness. With the lantern, they were able to see the beauty and wonder of the cave in a whole new light. And as they journeyed deeper, the lantern's warm glow was a constant source of comfort, reminding them that they were not alone in the darkness. The hidden cave was a vast and imposing space, with high ceilings and rough, jagged walls. The dim light filtering in from the entrance was enough to make out the glittering piles of something precious scattered about. The air was musty and damp, with an earthy scent that hung heavy in the air. The sound of dripping water echoed through the cavern, adding to the eerie atmosphere. Shadows danced along the walls, cast by the dim light, making it seem like the cave was alive and breathing. The group was in awe of the beauty of the cave, but they also felt a sense of unease, knowing that they were not alone in the darkness. "Who goes there?" a voice boomed through the cavern. The group turned to see a large imposing figure standing in their way. It was the Guardian of the Treasure. The Guardian of the Treasure was a formidable figure, standing tall and imposing in the dimly lit cave. It had a large, muscular body covered in shaggy fur, with piercing eyes and sharp claws that glinted menacingly. Its voice was deep and commanding, echoing throughout the cavern as it challenged the intruders to prove their bravery and worth. Despite its fearsome appearance, the Guardian was not just a mindless beast. It was a protector of the treasure, with a strong sense of duty to ensure that it remained safe and only fell into the right hands. "We have come for what lies within this cave," said Professor Hoot, standing tall and determined. We have traveled far and overcome many challenges to reach this place. The guardian laughed, a deep, rumbling sound that echoed throughout the cave. You think you can simply waltz in here and take what is mine? I am the protector of this place, and I will not allow it to fall into the wrong hands. Charlie felt a shiver run down his spine, but he knew he couldn't give up. He stepped forward, his heart pounding. We come in peace, he said, his voice steady. We seek what is within for a noble purpose. Professor Hoot stepped forward, a cunning gleam in his eye. Guardian, he said. We are more than ready to prove ourselves. Tell us what we must do to earn the treasure. Very well, replied the guardian. You must pass 3 trials. The first trial is to retrieve the key of courage from the top of the highest peak in the forest. The second trial is to retrieve the heart of wisdom from the depths of the darkest pool. And the third and final trial is to retrieve the crown of strength from the lair of the fire-breathing dragon. Thumper, Professor Hoot, and Scamper all looked at each other, then back at the guardian. We accept your challenge, they said in unison. Very well, replied the guardian. You have 3 days to complete the trials. Succeed, and the treasure is yours. Chapter 6. The Key of Courage. The journey to the top of the peak was not an easy one. The path was steep and rocky, and the wind was howling, making it difficult to maintain their balance. Charlie felt his heart pounding in his chest. As they climbed higher and higher, they encountered various obstacles that required teamwork and determination to overcome. Watch out, there's a deep crevice ahead, yelled Professor Hoot, pointing to a large gap in the path. How are we going to get across? Asked Charlie, looking worried. We'll have to work together, said Scamper, determined. I'll go first and lay down some branches to bridge the gap. Scamper bravely stepped forward and started laying the branches, with the others holding onto each end to make sure they didn't slip. One by one, they made their way across the crevice, each helping the other until they were safely on the other side. Further up the path, they came across a steep incline covered in loose rocks and gravel. We need to be careful, said Professor Hoot, or we'll slip and fall. I've got an idea, said Thumper, who then tied ropes around each member of the group. We'll help each other up, one step at a time. With Thumper leading the way and the others holding on tight to the ropes, they slowly made their way up the incline, each person's progress helping the person behind them. It was slow, but they finally made it to the top. The group continued their climb, and as they reached the peak, they were greeted by a fierce gust of wind. Scamper nearly lost his footing, but he quickly regained his balance and shouted, "We made it!" At the summit, they could see the key of courage shining brightly in the sunlight. Thumper rushed forward and grabbed the key, his eyes shining with pride. "We did it!" he shouted, holding the key aloft. The group cheered and hugged each other, their spirits lifted by their success. "We made it to the top," Charlie exclaimed, high-fiving Thumper. "Yes, we did," Professor Hoot said with a smile. "We have proven our bravery and determination, and we are one step closer to our goal." With the key of courage in hand, the group felt a renewed sense of excitement and wonder. They were ready to face the next part of their quest, with determination and courage. They knew that the journey ahead would be filled with new challenges, but they were ready to face them head-on and to reach their ultimate goal. Chapter 7. The Heart of Wisdom. The next day, the group gathered together to plan their next move. They had the key of courage in hand, and they were eager to complete the next trial. The second trial is to retrieve the heart of wisdom from the depths of the darkest pool, said Professor Hoot, consulting his map. It's said to be located in the heart of the forest, deep within a dark and treacherous swamp. Charlie's heart sank. He had always been afraid of the dark, and the thought of diving into an unknown pool filled with unknown creatures made him shiver. But he knew he had to be brave. "Let's do it," said Scamper, his eyes shining with excitement. "I'm not afraid of anything." The group set out into the forest, following the map and the directions of the professor. The swamp was deep and treacherous, and the water was murky and filled with strange noises. As they approached the pool, Charlie felt a knot of fear form in his stomach. "I can't do this," he said, his voice trembling. But then, a hand reached out and took his. It was Thumper, and he smiled at him. "We'll do it together," he said. With that, they stepped into the water and began to swim down into the depths of the pool. As Thumper and Charlie made their way deeper into the darkest pool, they suddenly saw a group of creatures swimming towards them. These creatures were merfolk, with shimmering scales and fins, and they were fiercely guarding the Heart of Wisdom. The merfolk were a fascinating and beautiful species. They were humanoid in shape, but with the tails of fish instead of legs. Their skin was iridescent, shimmering in the water like diamonds. They had long flowing hair that was the same color as their tails, and their eyes were a bright piercing blue. "Who goes there?" one of the merfolk called out, his voice echoing through the water. "What is your business here?" Thumper and Charlie were amazed to find that they could breathe easily, despite being underwater. It was as if the water was imbued with magic, allowing them to communicate with the merfolk and speak freely with each other. "We are here to claim the Heart of Wisdom," explained Thumper. "You think it's that simple?" the merfolk sneered. "The Heart of Wisdom is sacred to us, and we will not allow just anyone to take it. You must prove your worth and bravery. Follow us." As Thumper and Charlie entered the grand hall of the merfolk, they were greeted by a chorus of haunting melodies that echoed throughout the chamber. The merfolk guards, who were to test their courage and wisdom, stood in a line, ready to evaluate their skills. "The first trial is a dance," one of the merfolk announced. "You must follow our moves in perfect harmony." Thumper and Charlie looked at each other skeptically, both having 2 left feet. However, the moment the music started, the merfolk began to move in time with the beat, their bodies flowing effortlessly in the water. Thumper and Charlie hesitated at first, but soon they found themselves caught up in the rhythm, moving awkwardly with the merfolk. They were amazed at how graceful the merfolk were, their tails glistening in the water, and they couldn't help but feel a bit envious. But their troubles weren't over yet, as Thumper soon realized that he had forgotten the moves, causing him to swim in the opposite direction from the rest of the merfolk. Charlie, trying to help, started to mimic Thumper's moves, hoping that the merfolk wouldn't notice. The 2 of them swam around in a chaotic fashion, causing the merfolk to burst out in laughter. "Well done, you two. You have passed the first trial with flying colors," the merfolk cheered. Thumper and Charlie, relieved and slightly embarrassed, thanked the merfolk and prepared themselves for the next challenge. Little did they know that they were in for another hilarious adventure. The second trial was to sing with the merfolk. As the music began to play, Thumper took the lead, ready to show off his confident voice. But as he started to sing, it quickly became apparent that he had a bit of trouble with pitch. Charlie tried to subtly adjust the notes, but Thumper was too caught up in his performance to notice. The merfolk guards, who were listening intently, raised their eyebrows in surprise. Thumper was singing a little off-key, but he was putting so much energy into his performance that it was hard not to be entertained. That's when Charlie stepped in, using his beautiful singing voice to help Thumper stay on pitch. The 2 of them harmonized, their voices coming together to create a beautiful sound that echoed through the underwater caves. As they finished the song, the merfolk guards clapped, impressed by their teamwork. Thumper and Charlie grinned at each other, happy that they were able to use their unique strengths to complete the trial. "Well done," said one of the merfolk guards. "You have proven that you have the Heart of Wisdom. Here is your reward." With that, the guard handed over the Heart of Wisdom, a glowing crystal heart that pulsed with a warm light. Thumper and Charlie beamed with pride, happy that they were able to work together and overcome the trials. With the heart of wisdom in hand, Thumper and Charlie made their way back to the surface and towards their friends. They were greeted with cheers and applause as they emerged from the water, holding the shining golden heart above their heads. Professor Hoot and Scamper were eager to hear about their adventure and the trials they had faced. Thumper and Charlie regaled them with stories of the merfolk, their incredible grace and the challenges they had overcome together. As they spoke, the others couldn't help but admire the newfound bond between Thumper and Charlie. They had worked together, relying on each other's strengths to achieve their goal, and now they had returned as stronger friends. The group continued to celebrate their success, eating, drinking and laughing well into the night. They were one step closer to their goal, and the excitement of what lay ahead was palpable. With the heart of wisdom in hand, they set out on the next part of their quest, their hearts filled with excitement and wonder. Chapter 8. The Crown of Strength. The group gathered together, eager to hear about the final trial. Scamper recited the instructions out loud. Retrieve the crown of strength from the lair of the fire-breathing dragon. Oh boy, Charlie muttered. This one is going to be tough. Scamper rubbed his chin thoughtfully. I have an idea. I think we should sneak up on the dragon and tickle its nose. That way, it won't be able to breathe fire. Everyone looked at Scamper skeptically, but he was insistent. I'm serious. My cousin is a dragon tamer and he says that dragons are ticklish. All we have to do is find the right spot. So, the group set out for the lair of the fire-breathing dragon. As they approached, they could feel the heat of the dragon's breath, and they could see the smoke and flames billowing from its nostrils. They knew they had to be careful. They couldn't just walk in, not with a dragon guarding the crown of strength. So, they came up with a plan. As Scamper approached the lair even further, Charlie stopped him. Hey, what are you doing? Charlie asked Scamper, worried about the dragon's reaction. I've got this, Scamper replied with a wink. I know how to handle dragons. Just watch. Scamper tiptoed into the lair, being as quiet as he could. The dragon was snoozing, its breath sending out puffs of smoke. Scamper couldn't help but giggle to himself as he approached the dragon. Suddenly, the dragon's eye popped open and it let out a loud growl. Scamper froze, but then he remembered his plan. He reached out and tickled the dragon's nose, just as he had said he would. To everyone's surprise, the dragon let out a loud snort and started to giggle uncontrollably. Thumper took advantage of the opportunity and reached into the dragon's hoard, grabbing the crown of strength. As they were making their escape, the dragon suddenly stopped giggling and let out a roar of anger. Hey! Give that back! It cried. Scamper was quick on his feet and quickly made his way back to the rest of the group, dodging streams of fire and clouds of smoke as he went. Professor Hoot was overjoyed to see that they had succeeded in retrieving all 3 items. He praised them for their teamwork, bravery, and quick thinking. Well done, my friends, exclaimed Professor Hoot, a huge smile spreading across his face. With the key of courage, the heart of wisdom, and the crown of strength, you have proven yourselves to be true adventurers. And now, the greatest treasure of all lies within our reach. Chapter 9. The Final Trial. As the group approached the Guardian's cave with the 3 items, their nerves were on edge. Professor Hoot stepped forward and addressed the Guardian. Guardian, he said. We have retrieved the items you requested. We are here to claim the treasure. The Guardian nodded and a mischievous glint appeared in his eye. Very well, he said. But before you can claim the treasure, you must first complete the final trial. Thumper stepped forward eagerly. What is the trial? He asked. The final trial is a game of musical chairs, the Guardian explained with a chuckle. But these are no ordinary chairs. They are magical chairs, and whoever is left standing when the music stops will face me in a final showdown. The group quickly gathered around the chairs, eager to begin. The guardian took his place in the center of the circle and the music began to play. The magical chairs were enchanted to move and spin according to the rhythm of the music. The speed and movements of the chairs were designed to challenge the participants and test their agility and quick thinking. The chairs would spin and move in unpredictable ways, making it difficult for the participants to stay seated. During the game, the chairs would speed up and slow down according to the beat of the music, and they would sometimes spin in circles or move in wild patterns. The participants had to dance and dodge to avoid falling off the chairs, using their reflexes and coordination to stay in the game. Thumper, Scamper, and Professor Hoot were soon struggling to keep up with the fast-paced rhythm. Thumper's long legs kept getting tangled up with the chairs, causing him to stumble and fall. Scamper, on the other hand, was too busy cracking jokes and distracting the others that he forgot to pay attention to the game. Professor Hoot, who was never much of a dancer, was soon winded and had to sit down to catch his breath. He was so out of breath that he could barely speak, but he managed to quip. "I think I need a hoop to recover from this." Charlie and the guardian locked eyes, each determined to come out on top. As the rhythm picked up, the guardian playfully teased the party. "Think you can beat me, do you? I've been doing this for centuries." The music grew more intense and Charlie's heart raced, but he remained focused. The chair spun round and round, moving faster and faster. Suddenly, there was a lull in the music, and Charlie made his move, darting towards the last chair. The guardian followed, but in a split second, Charlie grabbed the seat and claimed victory. The guardian was impressed and chuckled. "Well done, young one," he said with a smile. "You have proven yourself worthy of the treasure." Chapter 10. The Treasure. With a wave of his hand, the guardian revealed a small chest sitting in the center of the room. The group eagerly gathered around the chest, their eyes wide with excitement and anticipation. As the guardian made a graceful sweep of his hand, the chest slowly rose up from the ground and hovered in midair. The lid creaked open, revealing a soft golden light within. Thumper, Scamper, Professor Hoot, and Charlie stepped closer, straining to get a glimpse of the contents of the chest. They had all been on a quest for treasure, but they never expected to find something quite like this. As they looked inside, they saw that the chest was filled with shimmering golden dust, and in the center of the dust was a small, gleaming object. The object was unlike any they had ever seen before. It seemed to be made of pure light, and as they looked at it, they felt a warm, comforting feeling wash over them. Suddenly, the light flooded into their hearts, filling them with a sense of joy and happiness. "This is the true treasure," said the guardian with a smile. "The memories and experiences you have shared on this journey will stay with you forever. The treasure of friendship and bond is far more valuable than any gold or jewels could ever be." The party looked at each other in amazement, realizing that the guardian was right. They had found something much more valuable than any material riches, the treasure of lifelong friendship and bond. The guardian looked at the party with a warm smile, his eyes shining with a sense of pride and admiration. They had proven themselves to be brave, determined, and loyal friends, and he was eager to forge a deeper bond with them. "I invite you to play more of my magical games," he said, his voice filled with excitement. "You have proven yourselves to be true heroes, and I would be honored to share more adventures with you." The party was overjoyed at the prospect of spending more time with the guardian. They felt that he could become a true friend. The guardian's offer was more than just a chance to play more games. It was a symbol of their newfound friendship. They looked at each other, grinning from ear to ear, knowing that they had a lifetime of adventures ahead of them. "Thank you, guardian," said Professor Hoot, speaking for the group. "We would be honored to continue our journey with you." The group and the guardian were having a wild party in the treasure room. They were all laughing and having a great time together. The guardian had set up a series of magical party games, and everyone was eager to try them out. "Okay, everyone," said the guardian. "Let's start with a round of pin the tail on the dragon. Who's first?" "I am," cried Thumper, rushing up to the game board. Professor Hoot chuckled. Well, I've never played this game before, but I'm eager to give it a try. As the game got underway, the room was filled with laughter and cheering. Thumper was having trouble with the blindfold, and Scamper was giggling so hard that he could barely stand up. Next up was a game of hot potato with a magical twist. The potato was enchanted and would suddenly change shape and size, making it harder to catch. As the night went on, the group and the Guardian played game after game, never running out of laughter and excitement. They were all having so much fun that they didn't want the party to end. This has been such an amazing night, said Charlie. I'll never forget this adventure and the friends I've made along the way. The Guardian smiled. Neither will I. You all have a special place in my heart. Let's do this again soon. And with that, the party continued into the night, filled with joy, laughter, and lifelong friendship. Chapter 11. A new day, a new adventure. Charlie woke up to the sound of birds chirping outside his window. He rubbed his eyes and sat up in bed, still feeling a little dazed from his dream. As he emerged from his cozy bed, he couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and joy. The memories of his amazing adventure in the dream world with Thumper, Scamper, Professor Hoot, and the Guardian flooded back into his mind. The laughter, the challenges, and the unforgettable experiences they shared together were all so vivid and real. Charlie stretched his arms and smiled, feeling refreshed and eager to start his day. He went through his morning routine, all the while humming the magical tune that had accompanied his dream journey. As he got dressed and headed out of his room, he couldn't help but feel a sense of longing for his friends in the dream world. He knew that he could always return to them whenever he closed his eyes and let his imagination take flight. He could still hear the laughter and see the smiles of his friends as they played party games with the Guardian. He felt so grateful to have such incredible memories, and he was already counting down the days until he could return to that world and create even more. And so, with a smile on his face, Charlie stepped out into the world, ready for whatever adventures awaited him. He was eager to see what new experiences the day would bring, both in the real world and in his dreams. And he knew that, no matter what, he could always count on his friends Thumper, Scamper, Professor Hoot, and the Guardian to be there by his side, always ready to share in the magic of their dream world together. We sincerely appreciate your time in listening to this video. If you found it enjoyable, we kindly request that you consider expressing your support by liking and subscribing to our channel. Your encouragement helps us to continuously improve AI-generated storytelling and create new captivating stories like the one you just experienced. We also welcome your feedback in the comments section. Feel free to suggest the next genre for which we will create a story. You can even suggest plot details that we will pass on to the AI author.